everyone. Welcome. Applause to everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. This is Be Our Guest Happy Hour. So hope you have your coffee, Gatorade, whatever drink of choice. I am not Deb Janki. Deb will be returning next week. I am your guest host, Maria-Christina Oliveras, and I am thrilled to be hosting one of my favorite humans tonight, who we will see shortly. But before that, just want to do a little plug for Live in Color, which is an organization that is completely devoted to creating and developing young BIPOC artists, a wide range of work and voices, and they are really, really committed to diversity and inclusion. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting us. I'm thrilled to be here. Just a moment of gratitude as well. I know this is a challenging moment for some of us, and just in gratitude for being in this space with you and engaging with this amazing artist. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I just want to cite, I am here in Manhattan on the land of the Lenape, and in honor of them and those who came before us. So welcome. Let us move forward in thanks and gratitude and love and joy, which are two words that come to mind when I think of this extraordinary human and artist. But before that, I want to play a little video. Lauren Gradesky, our amazing producing fellow, will be helping us out with some tech stuff. So Lauren, if you hit up that video, that would be great. That was the beautiful ensemble of Soft Power. And here with me tonight, fresh off a Grammy nomination, I have Francis Ju, who has had a prolific career on Broadway, off Broadway, theater, film. He has done it all, and now can add Grammy nominee to his extensive, beautiful work and resume. Please help me in welcoming Francis Ju. Where are you? There you are.
Yo, I'm so happy to see you.
To see you. Welcome.
How did you make me cry before we even begin? Oh my God.
That was exactly my intent. I really kind of just get up in there and then, you know, all the love, all the joy. There it is. Welcome. So excited to have you here.
Thank you so much.
You know, we could start everywhere, but let's start with, you know, the beginnings of your journey, like as an actor, as an artist, and, you know, what really compelled you into this?
Well, you know, what strikes me first is how my introduction to live musical theater, the first live musical I saw was a high school production of The King and I. And the only two Asian people in the show were the guy playing the king and my older brother, Jeffrey, who played the prince. And when I went to go see it, I swear it was, even though they were the only Asian people in the company, I believed everyone was Siamese. I mean, I was so convinced, and I cried along with Mrs. Anna when she's reading the letter from the king at the end, and I believe they were all Siamese. I just thought that, you know, I grew up Catholic, so there was something about that felt like the transfiguration when, you know, the host becomes the actual body of Christ. And I'm not a practicing Catholic anymore, but I am a practicing theater lover. And so I still do feel that way. But I've come a long way from feeling that kind of transfiguration when there are white people, you know, playing yellow people, to this feeling now of finally, and I really, I'm, you know, 57 years old. And I think it's taken me this long, truly, to start to feel like someone like me deserves to be here and doesn't have to apologize. I love the phrase unapologetically Asian, because it really does capture how I felt for a long time. Like, you know, I walk into a room and what my mom said to me as a kid just is at the forefront of my brain. You have to work twice as hard. You have to be better just to be even. And, you know, you're going to start class with a D, maybe a C. So you have to prove to them that you can get an A. Go for that extra credit. you know, be as integrated, as assimilated as you can. Know all about European history and English literature and all of that kind of stuff. I was an English lit major in college, and fit in, you know. So you know, finally, I'm just feeling like when I walk into a room, I can sort of comfort that part of me that still feels that way. It still feels like, you know, do I really deserve to be here? With the other part, another part of me that acknowledges, yeah, I've worked damn hard, you know, and so have a lot of other people to be here. And my voice matters as much as, at least as much as anybody else's. So, you know, our stories deserve to be told at least as much as anybody else's. So that's where I am, and it's funny now thinking about starting off watching, you know, white people doing Jerome Robbins choreography, even in high school, and appreciating that, but feeling like I need to go a little harder, a little further, to feel like I belong in that room doing the same choreography, you know.
Well, not only belong there, but have the voice and the craft and point of view that should be seen. That, you know, why should you even have to fight to deserve to be seen, or even that mental game, right? That mental challenge of like, yes, you should, you know, imposter syndrome and all that. You know, you've had such a prolific career, and it's so great to hear that at this point you feel, first of all, 57, Asian don't crazy.
Oh my God. How is your lighting so great?
A ring light.
You're just gorgeous anyway, but like
a ring light.
I got the little ring light. I've got, you know, and everything, and I still look like I'm underwater.
Your skin looks immaculate. By the way, I should have said this. These conversations are supposed to be open chats. Drop comments in the chat if you have questions. This is not about, you know, oh, they're speaking and oh, what is your go-to karaoke? Okay, we'll hit that up, Alyssa. We'll hit up that karaoke number. Yes, later. For anything y'all want to, please engage, right? These conversations, this is about who is in this room in this moment, right? So, but Francis, so within this, and we can always go off, but we'll exchange skincare regimens.
Oh my God.
Please, I need yours. You know, in this, when did you feel, or who along your journey really helped you to find your own voice and claim it and claim the space? Like, who were your heroes? Were there any real, I mean, you've had such an extensive career. I want to hear about Pacific Overtures and Madame Butterfly and Thriller, but, you know, what are the ones that really for you stand out in your kind of reclaiming your power, which I hate to say you had to reclaim because it should have been yours to begin with and you should have known that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I had a conversation with some students recently who were talking about they called them subtle forms of racism. And it's a very common phrase. You know, if it's not, you know, getting beat up or killed, are these subtle forms of racism. But, you know, when it comes to how we think of, as children, think about ourselves in this world and what space we occupy, that's not subtle. That's really elemental. I mean, those are huge things that, you know, I think a lot of us grow up with. When I think of two events when you ask me a question about those moments, those epiphany moments about, you know, ownership and pride. One was my very first professional gig while I still was in college was the first New York revival of Pacific Overtures. And
while you were still in college?
Yeah, I was a junior.
So you were an underachiever. Great.
And well, I had done all these shows in school, always in the chorus because I wasn't brave enough to speak, you know, but, you know, give me a song, give me a routine and I'll try to learn it. But, you know, speaking was hard. But David Loud, who had graduated from Yale by that time, called me up. And so I owe him a huge debt. And he said, we're having trouble finding the boy in the tree. You want to take the train into New York and audition? So I was like, okay, I'd never done that before, but I got on Conrail. Back then it was called Conrail. And he picked me up from Grand Central. And the next thing I know, I'm playing the Dutch Admiral and the Boy in the Tree and one of the Conegettes and the first British sailor. And oh my God,
Yeah.
oh my God, that's a picture from a production I did in California after I graduated from college. But and there I was surrounded by an almost entirely Asian American company of actors, all of whom were making it in one way or another in the business. And really, by becoming friends with Kevin Gray and John Caleb and Tom Ikeda and Tom Matsusaka and so many others in that company, I learned just like how a company of Asian actors could own a story. We were directed by this wonderful director named Franz Soder, and and he had very precise ideas about the show, but he encouraged us to own the show, own our characters, and take pride in a kind of authenticity, even though this show was written by two non-Asians, John Weidman and Stephen Sondheim. And that leads me to the second epiphany that I had, which was working with David Henry Wong. The very first play that I ever did professionally, believe it or not, was M. Butterfly, when I was hired to understudy. Oh my God, that's another California production. I began as an understudy, and then I took over the role when it was on the road. And, you know, it was real trial by fire doing that play as your first play ever. But David,
was it straight out of after? How long was Pacific Overtures?
Oh. Well, after I did the revival of Pacific Overtures, I went back to college and I graduated with a degree in English Lit. And I went back to San Francisco because I never thought I would do this for a living, ever. I was a member of Equity already. I'd done this professional show, but I was like, I'm not going to make it on my own, you know? So I went back to San Francisco and I got a job at the San Francisco AIDS Foundation because, you know, volunteering service, I was already volunteering on their hotline, and an opportunity came up in their education department. So I started working with these wonderful people on health education, and I began to think maybe I should get, you know, a master's in public health or public administration and do this. But even while I was doing that, I was doing shows in the evenings. Meg Simon, legendary casting director, had seen me in that production of Pacific Overtures in New York, and 3 years later called me up. I was at work at the San Francisco AIDS Foundation, and she said, "We're going to need a new understudy when BD leaves the show because his understudy will take over the role, and then we'll need somebody to take his place. Do you want to audition for me? I'm swinging through San Francisco looking for Asians who can possibly do this role." And so I was like, sure, why not? It'll be a good experience. And she gave me a slew of notes and didn't call me for another few months. And then suddenly I get another call at work, and she says, "We're having callbacks at the end of the week on the stage of the Eugene O'Neill Theater. Can you be here?" And I was like, I'm working at the San Francisco AIDS Foundation. I'm making no money. So who's paying?
Yeah.
I was stupid enough to be able to ask that question. And she put me on hold. And after a couple of minutes, she got back on the phone and said, "I got the producer to pay for your flight and a night at the Milford Plaza Hotel. And I'll get you a house seat so you can see the show the night before. And then you'll audition, and I'll fly you home that next night." So I got on a plane. I had a notepad in my lap while watching the show, writing down all of the blocking. And I stayed up the entire night in the hotel room, going over the blocking and practicing and just praying that I didn't embarrass myself. But when I got on the stage, I mean, I'd never dreamed of ever being on a Broadway stage before. So I thought, whatever gods there are of the theater, just let me enjoy working on this set of M. Butterfly. And I did all 4 scenes, and at the end of which the producer asked whether I thought I could pick up all that Beijing opera. And truth be told, at the time, I thought, I'll never be able to do that. Oh my God, that was so hard. I'd
Mhm.
never seen anything like that before.
Sure.
But before I could speak, David Henry Huang, who was sitting in the house, said, "Hey, Stuart, he's got all this dance experience on his resume. Of course he can pick it up." So I didn't say anything. And they said, "Well, okay, can you come back, tomorrow when we have the choreographer who might be able to put you through some things?" And I was like, "Well, actually, I'm flying home tonight. I've got that plane ticket." And they were like, "Oh, okay, well, then you can go." And the next thing I know, I'm back in San Francisco at work again, and I get a call from the company manager saying, "You're going to have to quit your day job." So in
Yes.
1989, since 1989, I've been working in New York. And when I got to work with David again on Yellowface,
Mhm.
doing readings of it, workshops of it when it was still in development, and then they had auditions for the Mark Taper Forum production, its premiere.
Mm.
And I told my agents, "You better wait for that phone call. I'm going to get offered this part." I've been doing these readings for a year and a half,
Right.
and then I didn't get a call. So I asked my agents to call the Public Theater, who was going to co-pro with, and they said, "We don't want to see Francis. He's not right for the part. David's written this for somebody much older." So I was like, "Okay, it's not mine." But then it came back to New York, and for whatever reason, the actor who did it in LA was not doing it in New York. And so I got asked to do it again. And at the first day of rehearsal, I'll never forget, frickin' David Henry Huang says to the rest of the company who had done the show before, "I was wrong. I thought Francis was not right for this, and I was wrong." And it was really hearing David say that out loud in public that planted a seed in me, of, we've got to be able to tell ourselves, when we're doing things wrong, when we know we're not good enough at whatever it is. And then if you can identify it, then you can fix it. You can go, learn something. But also we have to learn, and I don't think I'm not very good at this, at saying to yourself, "You know what? That was good."
Not only is it good, no one can do it the way I can do it, which I love about that story. I mean, they realized and honored who you are, no one else can do but you, right?
Exactly.
Their preconceived notions, or they're kind of like, "Oh, that's not it. Like it's something else," right?
There's something you contribute. Even if you're saying the same lines, doing the same blocking, I'm wearing BD's wigs, for God's sake. And there's still something that is unique to you, that if you are vulnerable enough, willing enough, brave enough to offer, then it's just you. I mean, there's nothing else like it. And that's, David talks about, how the secret sauce, the magic that each actor has is what makes them unique and different and quirky and weird and awful, and all of those things are what we should be offering. And being a person of color, being gay, having grown up in San Francisco, being a shy child who couldn't talk to anybody when I was, from the time I was really little to the time I was in high school, all of that makes, each of us unique and valuable in our art form, I think.
Well, and it sounds like the theater brought you back because you had something that we couldn't not have, right? Like you did try to lean into your amazing service tendencies to to serve, volunteer. I still know you as actually a huge advocate for actors, artists, healthcare, politically. I mean, it's so still deep within your work, which I think is what is so beautiful. And quite honestly, we just met on Soft Power, so seeing that kind of simpatico and synchronicity of who you are and what you are saying with such truth and simplicity, and so
Thank you. Soft Power is one of the only times, I think, that I really felt like everything was being demanded of me. and that I was speaking not just from the character's point of view, but from my own heart too, because it was our story, right? Even though I'm playing David, who has a very different story than I do. But yeah, I really felt like I could just speak from my heart. And that makes such a huge difference. I loved working on Soft Power with you. I thought you were fantastic. But you had other things.
Oh, Lord.
When it came to New York. I mean, you had Kiss My Aztec, and I cannot wait to see you in that. Because talk about somebody who's brave enough to just lay everything out on the stage. I think that you are a lesson.
Well, such deep mutual admiration and actually adoration of you. So thank you. That means a lot. That really does. I hope you know that. Oh, hi, Frances. Grace Wing Young.
Hi, Grace.
Says hello.
Thank you for checking in.
And to that end, would love to hear, how do you feel about being a Grammy? Like, did you ever think that would come to, you know, I mean, here you are, Grammy nominated, because you said you could hardly dance a Beijing opera, let alone sing. And now, I mean, Beyonce is nominated too. She's nominated with the Queen. How you feel?
I want the gift bag, man. I mean, part of the reason why I posted this picture with the title, "This is what a Grammy nominee looks like," partly because it's just like, when do you see Asian people on the Grammys?
Yeah.
You know, forgotten. Wow. And part of it was just like, did I ever expect in my wildest, I mean, we've all dreamt about like getting the Tony and like running onto that stage, and what would our speech be, and would we cry, and would we remember to, you know, thank our family? You know, all of that we've all fantasized about it, right? But the Grammys,
right. Well, and I'm so thrilled. My only thing for you all is like, I wish it was not in this particular moment, right, where we can't fully celebrate, and that you can't fully like reap the physical, like walking that carpet and seeing Beyonce, but you know, it's such a huge, and I just, bravo, congrats. I mean,
but
it's
we
like,
do get to watch from our couches.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the silver lining.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the spanks and the fasting before the red carpet. Not that you ever need to.
I swear, my first reaction when I saw this, you know, a member of the Soft Power company posted it. We still keep up on this message thread that we've got, and I'm old enough not to even know what it's called, but you know, this message thread that we still have, and my first, I remembered that, you know, we just a year ago had been recording it, and just how hard we all worked, and not just on, you know, singing, dancing, acting, but, you know, figuring out how to be ourselves in the moment, you know, figuring out the end of the show so that we could just walk forward and be who we are, as much as any character that we just played. I think was both really difficult and sometimes embarrassing, and it was hard for us, I think, to stop apologizing. Hard for me, at any rate, to stop apologizing and just go out there and I have to thank Lee Silverman, because, you know, I've worked with her on a number of shows since Yellowface, and I swear, every single time I work with her, one of the notes that I get towards the end of rehearsals, during tech or during previews, is, you know, you don't have to perform for me. You know, you are it. You are enough. So stop, you know, hedging or apologizing or asking permission. Just come out here and tell your story. And, you know, over that past 11, 12 years of working with her, I'm starting to finally figure out how I do that. And for Soft Power, I was just surrounded by, you know, these amazing people who had figured it out. all ready for themselves. You know, we'd circle up sometimes, and I was just so filled with inspiration from and admiration for each one of them, because they were just so much more accomplished than I was at their age, and so much more confident, and so they owned their space,
Mm,
you know,
mm,
and that was so inspiring to me.
mm,
And so, you know, this nomination, I think, for me, is a celebration of that.
mm,
You
mm.
know, as much as the show itself is
Right.
about, you know what, we own this space too.
Yep.
You know, we all own this space, and we are all responsible for each other. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we're human beings too. And so, for it to happen now during this moment, you know, when the pandemic is happening and we're all being forced to the sort of question: are we taking care of each other?
Right.
Are we?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
how are we sacrificing to take care, you know, of each other, or are we deciding willfully not to?
Right.
You know,
Right.
free your face and all that kind of stuff. It's like
Mhm.
there are people you love who could suffer if you don't cover your face.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Mask, wash your hands, stay off the public transpo, y'all. Everybody. Yes, Francis. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, I mean, you know, and you bring up again this particular moment. I also, if you don't mind, speaking on. I know David Henry Wong you've worked with extensively, but I also Lauren loves you as well. And
Lauren,
she's just amazing. Can you talk a little bit about, because I know Cambodian was also transitioning into this, you guys were still running, and y'all who didn't get to see it was such a treat. But you know, can you talk about your experience with Lauren as well? I love to hear all these angels. Like, I like to think of people as angels, right? Like, who have just guided, right? And I think there's, you know, a lot of young people who will be watching too, of just hearing how vulnerable and open and still a beginner's mind you are, even despite your amazing prolific career and experience. Um, and so, and just if Lauren, if you don't want to speak on that, because I know Cambodian rock band is uh, so moving for those of us who saw it too as Asian Americans. I mean, I was there for Asian American night, which was epic.
we
Glorious.
had to have several. I mean,
Oh, so I was there with her. I got my ticket, even though the server crashed. I literally texted Lauren. I was like, "Girl, this email you just sent about like Asian night, I'm trying to get a ticket." She's like, "Oh, try again." It's like, click, and I got the one.
People showed up. It made me so proud of all of us for showing up for each other, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the play itself also was such a celebration of what we can do if we are looking out for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And Lauren, I met Lauren when she was developing a play that New York hasn't seen yet, called King of the Yees, which I hope does come to New York at some
You
point.
did it in San Francisco, right? I feel like that. Or
I did it in San Francisco, yeah, and in Chicago.
We're talking about Lauren Yee, right? These are like, God, I'm such a like mama, like, you know, check out, like, check out Lauren Yee if you're not, you know, familiar. David Henry Wong, check it out. Go.
Lauren was, I mean, I was introduced to her because I was out of the blue just invited to sit in a room at the Playwrights Realm here in New York and just read random scenes that she was throwing together into this play. And literally, this is one of the things I've learned from working with Lauren. I did not understand the words I was reading on the page. I literally was like, who am I? What is this? How does this work? I have no idea. So I just kept reading and coming up with stuff, and you know, as I'm reading, because it was a total cold read around a table, she was just writing stuff as we were working. I learned, I'm a guy named Larry Yee, who is the father of Lauren Yee. Oh, I have an accent. Oh, I work in and around Chinatown. Oh, I've got, you know, these relationships with my wife, blah, 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 blah. So and every single day that we came back to the table, we had new pages. Like suddenly there were 60 new pages to read, and it was a different play. And she'd react to that. We'd have a discussion. She'd write everything down that anybody said. It didn't matter whether it was, you know, pie in the sky or somebody making a really kind of even an inappropriate suggestion to a writer of how to fix something, she would write everything down, and then she'd come back having responded to all of that, and how she felt about what we had all said. And she wasn't precious at all. She was just looking for the story to emerge, for these characters to emerge, and that they would tell her what she was writing. And the more I thought about that, the more I workshopped other things with Lauren, including Cambodian Rock Band before it was ever produced. It was all about like, give something and then let it go, because it's not yours. You know, when I worked on Yellowface with David, that part was not mine. I had to let it go. And it came back.
Then it came on back. Right.
And then it came back, right?
Let it go. What is that oldism? Yeah, if you let it go, set it free. If it came back to you, it was yours. If not, it was never yours to begin with, right?
Slap it for leaving in the first place. Yeah. It's just, you're so free to actually work then, and to do unexpected things and discover things about yourself, about what you're capable of doing, of being. And so working on Cambodian Rock Band, you know, not knowing a thing about what it was to begin with, but then going, oh, this guy's talking to the audience. Oh, he's a bit of a showman. Oh, he's got secrets. He's not telling us who he is, but he's describing somebody else's life. Oh, now he is this guy. And suddenly, who in the moment is discovering what he's capable of too. And so, you know, one of the things I loved about that show was every single night trying to win and trying to convince myself as much as anybody else that I was capable of killing people in order to save my children.
Right.
That I was willing to come up with a very detailed, efficient way of torturing and killing people in order to save my family and in order to support my worldview.
Right. In the positive, right? That you were serving a positive objective.
Yeah.
One of, villain, not classic. Evil.
Anti-corruption. I'm anti-corruption. I'm anti-bureaucracy. These are the revolutionaries. These are the people who are going to remake society. We're starting from day zero.
Yeah.
Right. And which was what they said they were about. It wasn't ultimately what they wound up doing. But, you know, and so in now, you know, with Trump almost having won, what was I capable of doing? What am I capable of doing, knowing that this administration in my name is separating families and locking children in cages? What am I capable and willing to do, you know, in times like that, that, you know, maybe this character would feel were very similar in his day,
right?
You know, so there were tons of people who would come to see the show and afterwards go, I didn't think you were capable of being so evil. And I'm like, now you don't know who the real me is.
All aspects of Francis Jew. There it is.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that what we're all
absolutely
to do? I mean, to channel that and in a safe environment like the theater, have those discussions where we're like, well, maybe I'm not somebody who's willing to kill somebody else, but does that mean that I'm willing to die?
Right.
You know, if those are the choices,
right?
So, you know, and then if it's not that extreme, if it's subtle racism, you know, what am I willing to do in order to survive being in this room? You know, am I willing to stick up for myself? Am I willing to believe that I belong? You know, is exactly the same question. So I loved that play so much because it framed it in terms of just this father and daughter relationship. King of the Yees was also a play that was about a father-daughter relationship. And there's another play that I helped workshop for Lauren called The Great Leap, which is another father-son relationship that's explored. And it makes up this trio of plays where Lauren is talking about these generational things, cultural things, that all boil down to belonging.
Yeah.
You know, and
that was at the Atlantic, yeah.
that was at the Signature Theater.
Okay.
And you know what? The Signature Theater, the frickin' Signature Theater in New York City. What was going on when the pandemic happened? Talk about, BLM and needing to confront systemic racism. What were they doing? They had just finished Fires in the Mirror,
And Smith, those of you who don't know, yeah.
And they were doing the Chicken Wing King play across the hall from,
yeah,
and then Cambodian Rock Band. So like,
yeah,
just the diversity that they, that were part of their DNA. I think was just so evident there. And then, same thing when we were doing Soft Power last fall. God, that was last fall, a year ago. There was the revival of Colored Girls at the same time that they were doing Soft Power. So there are institutions that are trying, and everybody can try harder. But when the pandemic suddenly hit and everything had to shut down, I felt like New York, at least, was having this moment where we were being acknowledged. And what happens at any given point in time in a season is planned out years in advance. So this was the result of pressure and the acknowledgement of that pressure, the acknowledgement of these voices years ago. So what's happening now, I think, is going to bear fruit.
Amen.
When we reopen, we're going to see it. And if we don't see it, we're now empowered to just speak up, right?
Yeah. And it is a moment of reckoning, I think. We'll actually, yes, Lauren, we'll actually hit this up. And just two quick things. But the Great Leap was Atlantic, no? Or is that?
Great Leap was Atlantic. Yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't do that production.
All the theaters that are not just doing lip service, but actually, supporting and developing these playwrights. That's why. Yeah. So, and that's what I want to say. Yeah, there are lots of people in this moment who are doing lip service and producing organizations, and we will see on the other side. And I think we do have the power now to hold each other accountable in a way, and hopefully that's something that we can emerge from this moment.
Yeah. I give a lot of credit to APAC.
Yes.
For years of collecting data and analyzing data here in the city. And so just being able to, without any, emotion or feeling, here's the data.
Yep.
Here's whose stories you're telling. And here's who you're employing to tell those stories.
Right.
And, what's in your mission statement? Are you, does this data back up your, So, I give APAC a lot of credit.
Yes. And so many shocking statistics. And I love that you say, it was void of emotion. It's just like, well, I'm just showing you, actually, there were only white male directors directing Broadway musicals. And that was one of the shocking ones. I thought, no, is that possible?
Yeah.
So those of you on this call, check out APAC's amazing work. And, it's quite shocking.
And there are good people. There are great people, champions who thought they were doing better than they were when faced with just numbers.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, and along these Cambodian rock band, we have a little video. Lauren, just a little insight into your process.
Oh my!
Everybody in the chat, yes, amazing.
I swear that show nearly broke me.
Wow.
I was just like jumping up. They told me at the beginning of rehearsal. So I thought, I'm not in the band, right? So I don't have to come to band rehearsal. I don't have to know the music, stuff like that. And then they started telling me all of the things I was going to be doing during different numbers in the show. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. And then they said, and here's where you jump out into the audience and okay. I'm like, I can't do that. And then they started playing the music, and I was like,
the straddle, that was very impressive. The roll around. I mean, you should have auditioned for Hustlers. Come on, Francis. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish. I wish.
Hustlers 2, you never know. I think it did well. And a moment of gratitude to you, and honestly, and everything that you have done, and just what a career. And thank you for being here and sharing all your amazing stories. We have two recent, castmates from Soft Power and Cambodian Rock Band who just want to give in thanks. We are all in this moment of gratitude for each other and helping each other along. And so a celebration and a tribute to you, to Francis. Lauren, if you let our guests in just to say a quick hello.
Oh my God.
Hi.
Welcome.
Austin, Moses, I am so happy to see you.
You too, buddy. See you too. We love you, Francis.
All your awards.
Love you so much. Hey, Austin, congratulations on your Grammy nomination.
Congratulations on your Grammy nomination. That's nuts.
And in answer to, I think it was, I forget who was asking about like what I'm most looking forward to when we come back. I'm not, I think, telling tales out of school because some of these things have been announced. But I'm most looking forward to being in a room again with Moses Villarama, working on a production of Cambodian Rock Band when we all come back, when theater all reopens.
Yes.
That gets me up in the morning, is thinking that is possible, being back in a room with Moses.
And Moses, the floor is, if you have any embarrassing stories specifically, no, just kidding.
Oh God.
You want to offer, no. That's not what it's about. You bare your soul for us. It's fine. We won't humiliate you.
I have a tender spot in my heart for Francis because he's home fries. He's from San Francisco, the Bay Area, and that's where I'm from. So, going through the Super Bowl loss while we're in tech for Cambodian Rock Band with Francis made it easier. I will say that. And
hard.
Francis has always been one of those people that I've admired as an Asian American artist, as an Asian American actor. And I got the chance to work with him for the first time on a workshop of a new musical called Great Wall by Kevin So. And one thing that I think kind of encapsulates Francis, his work ethic, and just how he is in the room and as a person in this world, is that he always said thank you whenever Sarna would give him a note, whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, something very critical or nitpicky or something just broad in general. He always said thank you. And I could tell that he was very sincere about it. And this was something that stuck with me for a very long time after that experience, which is, like a week-long thing, was just the immense sense of collaboration and openness to hearing everybody's opinion. And I think that's what makes him such an amazing leader in our community, not only as Asian American actors, but also the time that he spent working as a council member for Actors Equity for, 17 some odd years. And he's just an incredible talent. I'm so proud to call you my friend. I love just the random text messages we sometimes share. It's really wonderful. I just love it so much. And yeah, congratulations on the Grammy nomination. That was amazing.
Oh, Moses, I love you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, Daniel May says hi.
Power and Austin, thank you for that, Moses, and Francis. Just say thank. Yeah, I see you. Like, yes. Well deserved. Amen.
So Moses has known. Oh, I was going to say, yeah, go ahead.
No, it's all you.
Oh, I thought you were saying something. Oh, it's funny that Moses brought up the Bay Area thing because Francis and I have also known each other for a long time from the Bay Area. I'm not from the Bay Area originally, but I used to live there in my younger days, and that's how I met Francis. I understudied Francis 15 years ago.
Oh my God.
Like one of my first equity shows. Francis came back to the Bay Area to do a production of M. Butterfly, and I understudied him. It was one of my first equity contracts. And I learned so much from him. You know, this Broadway guy coming back to his hometown to do this show. And I shadowed him and I karaoke'd him and learned so much being in the room with him back in the day. Yeah. It's been quite a journey.
Did you realize, Austin, how much I hated you back then because you were so beautiful? You were so much more beautiful than I was that I just felt like an old hag.
Oh my God. No, I remember Moses was speaking about memories of Francis, and my memories of him are doing the New York Times crossword every day on our break, and doing yoga, and he was doing these like shoulder stands, like just taking such good care of his mind and his body, and it was a lot to look up to as far as, you know, this is somebody who has it together. He's probably going to say, "Oh, come on," but you know, to me, it was like, oh, look, you know, this guy is like taking care of everything. And it was a lot to look up to and learn from.
Thank you, Austin. I'd been injured so much by then that, you know, I had to, you know, in order to get up and speak, I had to do my physical therapy exercises. Yeah. I have loved working with you guys so much on these projects that, you know, I've been so lucky to work on projects with people that I admire so much and that I learn from every single time. David Henry Wong came out to see that production of M. Butterfly too, didn't he? I think he did come out.
Yeah, so that's the first time I met him. JG.
Amazing. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving indeed. You guys, thank you so much for taking the time.
Francis,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Love you. We adore you.
We adore you.
I know for Dev and Live in Color, we're so thrilled to have had this conversation. They said they were like, who guessed in it? And I was like, let's get Jew on here. I know that he has a funny story around the game, which I can tell you all later about. But I'm dorkily going to close out because you deserve to be lauded among all the Oscar winners and Tony winners, but people who've been inside the actor studio with James Lipton. I'm bringing that on back, and I'm gonna serve it. And Moses and Austin, if you want to delight and have your little cocktail with us, please do. But if you have to go and be in this moment of pandemia, whatever we are, but because Francis, you are such a superstar, and if Lipton were around, perhaps he would get you on his couch eventually, or not his couch. Well, I don't know. Casting couch is different world.
That took a turn.
That did take a turn. Thank you, everybody, for spending so much time. Here we are. So, I'll try to do my best. Francis Jew, what is your favorite word?
Wow. Love?
What is your least favorite word?
Oh. No.
What turns you on? Careful, I think we're PG-13.
No, we're not.
No, probably not. X, definitely X.
There's nothing like a great musical theater moment to just get right to the heart from the very, very beginning.
What turns you off?
Oh, meanness, unkindness.
What sound or noise do you love?
Ooh. The first thing that comes into my mind is that slightly it's I don't know how to describe it. When you're taking something out of the oven that you've just baked and it sounds done. You know, it's not still soft and battery, and it's not hard like a rock, like you've overdone it, but it just the sound that a good baked good makes.
Mm. What sound or noise do you hate?
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. Just the sound of hate.
Mm. What is your favorite curse word?
Fuck. All the time.
Good, classic. Yeah,
It's so useful in a variety of circumstances.
absolutely. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh man. I love stage managers.
Oh,
And it's not the kind of thing that, like, if I can't act anymore, I'm gonna ask somebody to train me to be a stage manager. It's really, I love stage managers.
mm,
And I think that what they do is astounding. You know, taking care of every single department,
mm,
not just, people in the room during rehearsal, and the way that they can design a show, not the physical design or the oral design, but the way that all of it works together, the way that they design that, it is a miracle every single time it works.
mhm.
So, if I, had another choice, it would definitely be in the theater, and it definitely would be stage management.
Yeah. And what profession would you not like to do?
Oh, politician.
Mhm.
I used to think, because I love following politics, that I could be good at politics, but I learned in, my years at Equity that I am really bad at politics. I just I give I just give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and that sometimes is a dangerous thing.
And finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Hmm. Your mom's right over here.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much in her spirit, in the spirit of love and joy and gratitude. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for joining. Is there anything you would like to say to, whoever there in this moment? You know, you again, our deep thanks to just all of the work you put out there these beautiful people said, you are such an inspiration as a leader, as an ensemble member, working on stage, seeing what you do off stage, all your activism, even in just engaging in conversation and the sticky conversations of how we can move forward politically and socially and loft each other up in this moment. Um, you know, deepest gratitude from us, and
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And, seeing Moses and Austin reminds me too that, and you, Maria-Christina, I mean, my God, it's been so long. It just that, now is most definitely a time to take care of each other. And even though we need to be socially distanced, we can take care of each other. And that even in the midst of Black Lives Matter and, social justice, and a new administration is on the way, even in the midst of all of the difficult conversations that we need to have, I'm reminded every time I see my lovely friends that the point is not to to simply reverse the dynamic so that we become the oppressors. The point is that we're in the same world, that no matter what, we need each other. We need each other. We don't get through this unless it's with each other. And that's the point. It's the more difficult journey, but it's the only journey that gets us where we want to be. And what are we willing to sacrifice for now in order to get there? And then once things open up, we're going to have to learn how to take care of each other all over again when we're in person with one another too. So I'm grateful for so much this Thanksgiving, seeing all of you guys and being reminded of really what matters to me. So thank you. I'm so grateful, MCO.
Love you, truly. Thank you. Oh, I don't want to forget your favorite karaoke song. That was someone in the chat wanted to ask you that. So that's
Moses knows this. I don't do karaoke. I'm way too scared. I need rehearsal. I need to know what the keys are.
David Henry Wong and Janine Tesori and Lauren Yee to write them. So bravo.
What's your favorite karaoke song? Maybe I'll copy you. What's your favorite karaoke song? Maybe I'll copy you.
Karaoke. I don't like it. No, because I like to sing. So like I don't want to I don't know. I just karaoke. I like it's like, oh, but I get to do that for real. So yeah, I don't know. Unless I'm really drunk, but
It's kind of like Halloween. It's like I dress for a living.
Right. It's like I don't want to.
Our costumes are fantastic. This is amateur hour. It's just not enough.
Exactly. Where's Clint Ramos? What?
Exactly.
He can do. So, yeah. So on that, and thank you. I know this went over time, so appreciative of that. But all the love, all the joy. Thank you, Lauren. Lauren, come on out, Lauren. And if you want to say hey, let's give a thanks to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
And everybody who's on this call, please, check out Live in Color, what they do. Dev is doing amazing things for developing, creating new work for BIPOC artists. So
thank you, Dev.
Yeah, whatever your resources are, and I know our bandwidths are limited, and but if you are in a position to support in any way, please do. And next week, Dev Janki will be back, not Maria-Christina Oliveras, and he will be hosting. I have to read this because I didn't memorize this. Hamilton's Associate Choreographer and Global Dance Supervisor, Stephanie Clemens, and Hamilton's Philip Tour Resident Director, Tiffany Nicole Green. So come on back for them. I was like, oh my God. Yes. So thank you all again. Happy Thanksgiving. All the love. Be well. Be safe. And I'm excited to move forward into this new world on the other side. And to know, I shouldn't say that, to be in this current world with you all. And as we move through toward progress and change and leaning in to taking care of each other. So thank you. All the joy. Thank you for having me host, and all the love.
Great job.
Happy
Change on the horizon, coming soon.